Alright, fellow Arrow fans, time for final episode review of the day, which is Uprising. In the cabin, Oliver tries to leave without Tatsu, but she doesn't approve. She tells him that he needs to heal. He tells her that she should come with him, but she says she has no desire to return to the world. Oliver then leaves alone, despite being still injured. A week had passed since the government had removed the police from the glades, which is what the news have shown. Arsenal approaches a man who's trying to get taxes from a bar. Laurel then joins to help him and they knock out the man. Felicity's in the foundry and is annoyed that the people are calling the police. She sends them to another place, so Laurel knocks the window. Sin spots him and calls out Sarah's name, but Laurel doesn't respond. Quentin calls Felicity and says he'll help off the books. Thea and Malcolm are sparring with swords. Thea looks to have the upper hand, but he wins as she won't kill him. Malcolm tells her that she needs to adapt to the danger that she'll be facing. He says that he wasn't always a killer and how he had been frightened with his first kill. 21 years ago, Malcolm has returned home from work. He hears Tommy having a nightmare. He hugs his son and pulls a coin out of Tommy's ear, cheering him up. Malcolm puts Tommy back to bed. He hears the doorbell and rushes downstairs, thinking it is his wife. However, a pair of cops are outside, looking solemn. Malcolm learns off-screen that Rebecca has been murdered. In the present, Quentin meets with Roy and tells him that he knows it is him after giving him a file about Brick. Quentin asks after Sarah and Roy lies. Felicity looks into Brick's MO when they come across the gun from Rebecca Merlin. It is revealed that Malcolm had planted a camera on Felicity's computer and saw this. Oliver's in the woods having issues when Tatsu meets up, having changed her mind. Luckily for him, as he was having issues. Oliver tells Tatsu about Ray Shogu going after him and his sister if he learned that Oliver was alive. He asks for advice. Malcolm is sharpening a sword when Thea shows up. Malcolm tells her that he killed the wrong man and that his wife's death was unavenged. Suggests going to Laurel or the police. He admits that he now has a chance to set it right as Thea isn't a killer and that he is. In the past, Malcolm sits alone at the funeral. Oliver and Tommy stand behind them far off. Malcolm and a friend talk about the case and how there isn't enough evidence to convict. He then leaves a photograph of the man behind for Malcolm. In the foundry, Felicity, Roy, and Dick are talking about what they learned. Felicity freaks out about how the men were communicating as the cell towers have been taken down. Felicity learns that it's via walkies in a location of where Brick and his crew were, the police station in the Glades. At the station, Brick is annoyed with the men who hadn't killed Arsenal the night before. As Brick goes to kill his second man, the power is cut off, so he stops. Laura and Arsenal begin to take down Brick's men. Brick heads to the gun cabin and grabs flares. He then begins shooting at them. Felicity and Dick are worried when they lose contact with Laurel and Roy. Malcolm shows up and shoots at Brick. Afterwards, Malcolm is brought to the foundry and they realize that they led him to Brick and he mentions teaming up to deal with Brick. Malcolm then leaves. In Verdant, Thea has a mostly empty club. Ray approaches and they chat. Thea then admits to how Malcolm had saved her during the siege and how he cares about people. In the basement, Laurel thinks they should team up with Malcolm for the sole purpose of going after Brick. Felicity isn't happy about this decision. Roy approaches them and tells them about Malcolm saving Thea during the siege. Felicity is upset and points out Oliver wouldn't agree. Roy argues that they need to make decisions without Oliver. Dick steps outside and Malcolm approaches and Dick tells Malcolm that they told him no to teaming up. In the past, Malcolm is spying on the man when he steps out of the club. He awkwardly talks to the guy, and then he pulls a gun. Malcolm is beat up before he could shoot. The guy walks away and Malcolm shoots the gun, killing him. In a world away, Tatsu and Oliver meet up with the car. She gives him his medicine and turns to leave. He asks her to come with him again. She refuses to see him die. They then hug with him getting on the truck. Malcolm opens the cabin and is approached by Thea. Malcolm is impressed when Thea approaches. However, Malcolm said all that is left is the killer as the carrying man died with his wife. Malcolm packs after cleaning up. His friend approached him with the money and figured out that Malcolm killed the guy. Tommy then entered and is upset when Malcolm tells him he is leaving. Laura comes up with a plan as they need more numbers even without teaming up with Malcolm. She approaches Ted as Roy approaches Sin. She's happy to see him. She asks about Sarah, Felicity, Dick, Roy, and Laurel are in the truck gearing up. Brick leaves the building and is shot at by Roy. Brick mentions how they are outnumbered.
Sin then arrives with more and the people had to fight. Roy saves Wildcats from breaking Laurel. Laurel approaches him and unmasks him, saying he'll be fine. Malcolm shows up and fights Brick in his dark archer gear. Sin spots the Black Canary with Ted. An arrow shoots at the bad guy, and they realize Oliver is there. Malcolm aims Brick's gun and mentions Rebecca, who Brick had killed to get into a gang. Malcolm punches him and Oliver shows up. Malcolm says that every choice since Rebecca died might have been different if he got Brick back then. Quinton receives the call and rushes off. Oliver has returned and talks to the people in town before flying off. Quinton directs the police to get the men. Sin tells him that the Black Canary that he had been seeing isn't Sarah. Malcolm returns to find Thea was waiting worried for him. He says they didn't kill the man for him and because of himself. Oliver then returns and hugs Thea. He lies and said he had been in prison. He shakes hands with Malcolm. Malcolm says that before Rebecca died, he had been a good father. He says that he wants redemption with Thea and expects a different outcome with Thea. Oliver asks Malcolm to train him to kill Ra's al Ghul. In the past, Malcolm walks a Nanda Parbat and approaches young Nissa. She names him the Magician. Oliver heads to the foundry and Felicity hugs him. Oliver then shakes hands with Dick and Roy. Roy asks about the plan and Felicity is surprised when Oliver mentions working with Malcolm. She grows upset with that fact and goes for air. Oliver approaches her outside. He apologizes to her and tries to approach her, but she steps back. She tells him that she hoped he would have a different perspective of their relationship when he returned. She tells him that she doesn't want to be a woman he loves and walks away. Aww. So anyway, let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. Early on, one of Brick's thugs asks Arsenal, "Hear the red streak I've been seeing on the news?" Arsenal responds, "Wrong city." This is a reference to the Flash, who was given the nickname the Streak before making a name for himself in Central City. This is the first episode to show flashbacks from the perspective of Malcolm Merlyn. And now finally, let's take a look at some goofs. Lorman speaks and says they are grasping for straws. Felicity soon says incorrectly, grasping at straws. In a flashback when the cops reveal to Malcolm that his wife is dead, he's at home. However, in season 1's The Undertaking, Malcolm mentions to Robert Queen in a flashback that a cop showed up at his office to inform him of Rebecca's murder. Interesting. So overall, I think this episode is pretty darn good, and yeah, the fact that Oliver's back is great, but yeah, at the same time, not such a good news for the Oliver and Felicity shippers at the time or whatever, so yeah, but anyway. So overall, I give Uprising 4 arrowheads out of 5. But anyway, tune in tomorrow as we take a look at the next episode, Canaries. So until then, in the words of Oliver Queen, you have failed this city.